All right, folks, I want to talk a little bit about fighting and advocating for change. Within the budget bill, this big, beautiful bill, Trump wants to call it, there's language that threatens elections and the court's ability to sanction the regime and their illegal actions via contempt of court. This is, I think, unprecedented. I'm not sure it's constitutional. I don't know what the courts are going to do about this because the worst faith interpretation would be we're supposed to have co-equal branches of government, so they sort of check each other. There's one interpretation, and I hate to even say it out loud because I don't want to give them any ideas, but I don't think these guys are listening to me, so I'm probably okay. But they may interpret this as saying this is the this is Congress's check on the executive or the judiciary. But I don't think so, because if the executive is engaging in criminal actions that are clearly unconstitutional, the judiciary is the check on that, right? They're the ones who are supposed to be interpreting the law. But it's tricky when Congress tries to make an illegal law or make something that is checking the court's law. I don't know if this is legal under the Republican unitary executive theory, which violates the co-equal branches of government. They'll make the argument that it's under. Of course, I'm blanking on this. There's powers that the executive has, and they're stretching what this means. Somebody can check me on this in the comments, and I'll do a follow-up video on it. I think we need to stop this. We need to definitely stop it in the Senate. There's some talk about some Republicans are bucking the bill, but we have to be careful about how to interpret that, because like if we listen to what they're saying and the past history of Republicans opposing terrible things during Obama's presidency, he basically made a deal with Republicans to make some changes to Social Security. I think they were going to do some marginal reductions in payments and maybe change the retirement age or when you access Social Security. But what happened was some Republicans tanked that compromise because it wasn't evil enough. Basically, it wasn't bad enough. And that's kind of what is happening now with the budget bill. Republicans are balking at the idea of adding to the deficit, the debt and the deficit, but they want more cuts. That means that they want to cut more public programs. They want to hurt you. If you have Medicaid and Medicare, they want to hurt you more. They're not satisfied enough with the $800 billion of Medicaid cuts. They're not happy enough with $500 billion of cuts to Medicare, the cuts to SNAP. They're not happy with only kicking 10 million plus people off of their health care. They're not happy enough with closing about 762 rural hospitals. That's not enough for them. They need to go even harder on their cruelty to Americans. I think we need to get these people on record with a demand for a no eugenics by policy and legislative pledge. Get on the media and go viral as often as possible, saying we asked them to support a no eugenics pledge, and they either did or did not sign, and point to where this legislative action are examples of eugenics policies in effect. Because when you're talking about cutting healthcare from Americans, the natural result is going to be people are going to die. They're going to get sick. They won't be able to get help. You're taking food literally out of kids' mouths. You are basically giving a death sentence to a lot of Americans that are already on the edge. This is overwhelmingly going to hit rural America. It's going to hit a lot of red states even harder than the blue states. Blue states tend to fund the red states because, like New York and California, they're economic superpowers, right? Like they contribute a lot of tax revenue that funds a lot of the red states. That's just a fact. The red states are not as productive. I guess maybe decades ago, They might have had more economic output, but thanks to the Democrats and the Republicans that favored corporations, they allowed a lot of companies to leave America with no penalty. They got to save on labor costs. And the trade off, according to people like Bill Clinton, I would argue everybody since Reagan, or from Reagan on, have been incredibly right wing, incredibly pro corporate, and they're not pro American. They don't care about workers. They've allowed the erosion of unions in this country, but that's a subject for another video. But a lot of the opportunities for people left with nothing to shore them up afterwards. So that's my complaint about both parties. For a long time, I was an independent. The only time I registered as a Democrat is because I'm doing harm reduction. I learned about politics later in life, and I recognize that the Democrats are better than the Republicans. Do I have things to like praise the Democrats for? Not a lot. I haven't really seen a lot that the Democrats have done for me, but the Republicans are about a billion times worse. They're way more corrupt. And we're watching what happens when you give Republicans power. They do harmful things and they serve billionaires. So that's eugenics. When you hurt the elderly, when you hurt kids, when you hurt marginalized communities, when you hurt public schools, when you hurt veterans, I just there's nothing good about any of this. So cutting off this funding is what they want to do to serve to cut taxes for billionaires, and they're going to add to our deficit about $4.3 trillion over 10 years. That's the low estimate. I think some people have it much higher than that, actually. So they're damning us to more debt, and they're going to force us to pay taxes that really we don't get anything from it. So people will die without this help. Undermining funding for hospitals, forcing them to shut down is eugenics. It's a tool in the playbook of genocide, and there's plenty to talk about here. Being any part of this regime or providing any support, including voting and stating your support, it should be radioactive in society, in my view. It should make you ostracized in society. People should use all matter of not illegal activities, but definitely in the gray area of ethical and socially acceptable practice and conduct to make these people pay a social cost for their support of this eugenicist, genocidal, hostile to the full population of the world party. That's the Republican Party. And way too many Democrats that are funded by APAC and other corporate interests. I think all of them should basically decline PAC money and go hard on their rhetoric against the Republican Party and all the people that are funded by right-wing billionaires. So we need to use carrots and sticks. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in my next video.